Hello, everybody. Kenny here, also known as Psyguy, or am I, previously known as Silent85. I apologize if I look a little rough. I'm currently on a quick break at work, and I'm on my phone, so sound may be a little bit wonky. But I wanted to do a gamer log on censorship. Um, I was previously speaking with, well, a couple of people, and there's been a rumor going around about Grand Theft Auto 6 requiring ID to be able to play it. Now, I've basically confirmed with my own personal research that this is a rumor and it's kind of being conflated with adult content on websites requiring ID. And when I say websites, I mean, certain websites. Now, with that said, there is currently advocacy groups since about 2018, and it's just been escalating and getting worse. And when I say worse, I qualify worse as worst, especially affecting gamers and movie viewers. Um, advocate, advo- Advocacy groups are targeting payment processors like Visa, MasterCard, American Express, notably, to not do business with platforms like Steam or itch.io that sell mature or explicit content, even if it's a novel or visual novel. I'll get to that in just a minute. Um, and this, in turn, is total bullshit that this is happening. You saw a lot of this when video games first started hit. Notoriously Mortal Kombat. A lot of parental groups was like, it's going to ruin our kids. Violence will lead to more violence, all this and that. And then, of course, they introduced the ESRB rating. Certain companies picked up policies like GameStop where you had to show ID to buy a mature rated game. You know, there's a long history of this in gaming and entertainment. And parental groups, they're not the only groups that are the source behind this pressure. But it's a history that leads directly to where we're at now in 2025, as of this recording, where states like Texas, which is where I live, and believe me, I'm not a big fan of Texas. You can ask anybody I talk to, including family, that I plan on retiring from Texas once I get the chance. Familial obligations keep me from doing that right now, but they're pushing this legislation that is taking away from business, it's Republican led, which blows my mind, who is historically very business minded. They want businesses to have freedom. And then you have these businesses that are being impacted by these laws. People are losing jobs, money's being lost from these things. And there's obviously an argument for the explicitness of the content, all this and that, but the smaller groups, especially indie creators, are being impacted by this as well. We recently started playing Sweetest Monster. We just finished it. I just uploaded the finale today as of this recording. And there is a sequel that's called Sweetest Monster Refrain. Now, this wasn't released on PlayStation 4 or Steam due to graphic content, because it's more graphic than the original. And it's dark content, obviously. I mean, the game, I'm not going to ruin the ending, but the game, it leads up to this finale that's like, whoa, I got uneasy just watching it. But I was looking forward to playing the sequel, and then I learned that it's very explicit. There's nudity, sex scenes. And I was like, well, okay, fine. It's something I'm not used to. I looked for it on itch.io. It's not available anymore. And a recent forum post by the creator said that they're not able to post it because of pressure from the company, which is pressure from their payment processor that's causing that. And advocacy groups have had such an impact on these companies that they've made this business and financial decision, Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. And again, this is only from my own personal research. I would say this is fact, but I would also say it's more a matter of a combined of fact of advocacy history and opinion from what I see going on. Anyway, pressure from these payment processors is causing these businesses and websites to cut content, totally drop it off. People, from what I read, even people that bought Sweetest Monster Refrain, they no longer had access to the visual novel. I hope there was a download for it. Hopefully they were able to download it and keep it on their personal hard drive. because I really looked forward to playing this. And since it's no longer available from the developer, I can only imagine, like, again, you have this artist, this creator that can't sell their content on a digital platform, let alone a physical platform, because no retailer is going to carry explicit content like that, let alone an actual physical media game anymore, unless you're a big company like PlayStation, Switch, or Xbox. You just can't find them anymore. By the way, the AC is kicked on, so I apologize for any noisy background. You may also see a skip in the video if I have to go back to work, but it blows my mind that this is where we're at, you know. And you think as a 40-year-old growing up in the gaming eras, I'd be used to it, but when it impacts creators, when it impacts other gamers, and being able to experience art, like actual individually created art, to me, this is no different than ancient Greek art, which portrayed, nudity. It portrayed history. It portrayed all this and that. And there are groups that even go after that. And it's just this, like, why limit us? Why would you take away from something that can impact society? You know, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I don't doubt that there is a negative repercussion, especially to minors viewing it. You know, it is what it is, but don't totally remove it, you know? And while I'm on that subject, some would argue, well, you're making this argument now. What about ID required for all this and that? There are other ways to go around proving how old you are than actually having to provide a physical ID, especially to a website, which there is no telling how that information can be used. And don't get me wrong, I'm one of those people, look, if the government wants my information, they already have it. If they want a sample of my DNA, they already have it. When you're born, especially in Texas, there's, if you go in for mental help or health, medical, they're going to take blood. They're going to have that stuff on file. It is what it is. Although there is a legal right to have them dispose of it, make sure it's gone. But again, I'm just like, look, it is what it is. So anyway, I am rambling. I was kind of on site here. I did not use Gemini to help me keep this in line, so I kind of got into the weeds. But, this is a bit of a passionate rant and concern. But anyway, there we are. Just one man's opinion and one man's vlog and a gamer log here on YouTube. And, YouTube again on censorship, another good example. We're feeling the brunt of this. We're feeling the pressure. We're feeling the, and I have a long history here on the channel of not caring, of like curse words dropping, of allowable content being able to be created, not holding back with who I want to be. Obviously, I'm limited on what games I can stream, because YouTube and Twitch don't allow certain games, which is just another example that started years ago. But anyway, there we go. About a 9-minute video talking about it. So if you kept up with me, and you have an opinion on it, be sure to drop it below. I do hold all comments to review them to make sure there's no toxicity. And here I am, a bit of a hypocrite for holding content and filtering them. But at the same time, it's YouTube policy. If there's any toxic comments or anything like that, they do review it eventually. And if it's found, it can impact the channel. So, you kind of have this loop going on, and you probably see that. Even me as a content creator, I'm impacted, and I've got to limit what people say on my channel. But I'm at the mercy of the platform I'm on. So, at the source of it, it goes back to the platforms. It goes back to who they use to process payments. And one quick note, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, they use processors like PayPal or any other. These are trusted processors, payment processor. They're the in-between between the business itself. The payment processor would be PayPal, and then the card brands, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. Those are the card brands that obviously allow access to their credit card networks, which allows payment data to be used by the processor. It's a whole thing. You can look it up. But there are very questionable third-party processors that are international that do allow payments to be processed for explicit content. But the problem is that these international companies tend to be very questionable and kind of shady. So any reputable business or website tends to stay away from that. So that's just a little bit more information. Anyway, remember, you're awesome. Never throw it otherwise. Stay safe, stay sane. Thanks for listening to this rambling vlog. The next one will be better. I'll be more guided, but my ADHD was at work here. Thoughts abound. And there's that. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Peace.